This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning. I hope all of you are enjoying at home without any classes, only on online classes. Okay, and be safe. That's only. Protect yourself and stop spreading for others. Okay. I have given only one class for this month for you. So I am dealing with parathyroid, one of the endocrine organ. What is parathyroid? The name itself indicates adjacent to the thyroid. Okay, parathyroid. It is the organ present in the posterior surface of the thyroid or within the thyroid. They are 4 in number. Embryologically, they are developed from the third pharyngeal pouch and fourth, and 2 superior and 2 inferior. Superior, they develop from the fourth pharyngeal pouch, and third from the inferior from the third pharyngeal pouch along with the thymus gland. The thymus descends into the superior mediastinum. So along with the thymus, this parathyroid which develop from the third pharyngeal pouch, they descend. So they become the inferior. Here the number actually there most of the parathyroid 4 in number, but actually there may be more than 4 in number. Their location is highly variable, but constant in position is superior thyroid. Parathyroids are constant in position, but inferior parathyroid, their position varies. Okay, it has surgical significance because if we want to remove the parathyroid glands are 4 in number. We have to remove all the 4 parathyroid glands. If the disease involves the 4 parathyroid glands, and there may be more than 4, so we have to confirm intraoperatively that we have removed all the parathyroid gland. Otherwise, the success rate of this surgery is very low. So, the anatomical identification of this parathyroid, they are very minute structures, usually around 2 to 3 also, their size. So, to identify these glands, there are various techniques and invasive and non-invasive investigations are there. So that is the significance of this, and their identification, their location, anatomical location. They are usually superior parathyroid. They are on the posterior surface of the thyroid near the auriculum laryngeal nerve. Okay, while removing this thyroid in thyroid surgeries, uh, thyroidectomy, especially total thyroidectomy. When hemithyroidectomy, the other 2 glands, if we do right hemithyroidectomy, the left parathyroid glands are preserved. We won't manipulate these parathyroid glands, so the function of this parathyroid gland will be present. There won't be any complications like hypoparathyroidism. Okay, but in total thyroidectomy and radical thyroidectomy in malignancies where we do lymph nodal dissection, the identification of this parathyroid are compromised. Removal of this parathyroid is at risk. So post-operatively, we have the patients might develop hypoparathyroidism, which is sometimes very lethal. Students, am I audible and clear to you? Please, anyone respond if I am audible and clear or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you. Do you have to slow or a bit fast? Can I go a bit fast? Okay. So for parathyroid, during thyroidectomy, the main means precautions we have to preserve this parathyroid glands. Otherwise, if we remove this parathyroid glands, the patient may develop hypocalcemia. So the function of parathyroid, if it is increased hyperparathyroidism, if it is absent hypoparathyroidism. Parathyroid normal function is maintenance of calcium. Okay. If parathyroid hormone is lost, means there will be decreased absorption of this calcium from the GIT and increased excretion of this calcium from renal and decreased calcium resorption from the bone. So there will be a cumulative effect of decreased calcium in the blood. So there will be hypercalcemia. The symptoms of hypercalcemia: calcium is required for muscle contraction, especially under muscle relaxation. During relaxation time, the calcium is very essential. So first, small muscles. The calcium is stored in the Golgi apparatus, intracellular organelles. So the small muscles which are present in the hands, face, compared to the large muscles in the hand, thorax, abdomen, and legs. So these small muscles are affected first because their calcium pool or concentration or storage capacity is less, and so the relaxation of this muscle is affected. So we have various tests like carpopedal spasm, test signs, Choustedt signs. So these we decrease the blood supply by increasing the systolic pressure. Systolic pressure increasing, we apply a cuff around the mid arm and we increase the systolic pressure. If we increase the systolic pressure, the arteries will be collapsed. There won't be blood supply. So there won't be calcium supply to these muscles, small muscles. So if we keep this sustained systolic pressure for 1-2 minutes, the small muscles of the hand will go into spasm. Okay. This spasm, there won't spasm. Why the muscles are in spasm is during relaxation of this muscle, the calcium is very essential. So there is decreased calcium and there won't be relaxation. So the muscles will be in the spasm. If it is severe, we can get stridor, opisthotonous posture where there is extension of the small muscles. Okay, pseudotetany posture you will get. So these are the precautions in the post-operative period. If you do a total or radical thyroidectomy, we have to clinically, bedside or any, we have to ask the patient for any signs of paresthesia, numbness, perioral tingling. These are the early symptoms of hypercalcemia. If another function is increased parathyroid hormone, this increased parathyroid hormone causes increased calcium in the blood. If the increased calcium is present in the blood, it will get deposited. So there is increased risk of stones, renal stones formation, and calcifications, moons, prunes, and all these are the various symptoms of hypercalcemia. So parathyroid function is maintenance of calcium metabolism, plasma calcium levels. Increased calcium is seen in hyperparathyroidism and decreased is seen in hypoparathyroidism. The most common cause of hypoparathyroidism is iatrogenic thyroidectomy, total thyroidectomy. Okay. And these are how to we identify parathyroid. See, in Viva, you will have various procedures, thyroidectomy and all these. When the thyroid surgery is a clinical case of thyroid is there, they may ask you how you will identify this parathyroid intraoperatively. Okay, these parathyroid, they are similar to the fat lobule or lymph node. They are of 2 to 3 mm size. Okay, the superior parathyroids are most constant in position, so we can identify them easily compared to inferior parathyroids. Okay, these are related to the inferior thyroid artery, recurrent laryngeal nerve on the posterior border, and another landmark is Zenkus tubercle. This is nothing but the on the posterior border of the thyroid there will be protrusion, a tubercle like protrusion on the posterior border of this thyroid. Near to that they are present, this parathyroid glands. And sometimes if in practically we won't get these, we will do this on inspection on gross appearance. If there is compromise of this artery, they will blush. Okay, that is one indication, one sign, that is parathyroid. Fat lobule won't blush, they won't have blood supply. Parathyroids have their own blood supply, so there will be blushing of this parathyroid. Next, saline test. I have accidentally removed. I thought it is a fat lobule or lymph node. I removed. Then I got a doubt whether it is parathyroid or lymph node or fat. So then I will take a small bowl of saline and I will put this lobule or any gland into that saline. If it is fat lobule, it will float. If it is a parathyroid, it will settles in the bottom. So what I have to do, I already removed this parathyroid. So another technique means if we have in such scenario we can implant this into the sternocleidomastoid muscle, okay, and we can it will have its blood supply from this muscle and it will survive. So that is another technique. Blood supply it will get from inferior thyroid artery and all this. Mm. 4 parathyroid glands lie on the posterior surface of thyroid. Superior glands are located in the posterior medial aspect of thyroid near tracheoesophageal groove. Inferior parathyroids below the inferior thyroid artery. The common sites of ectopic parathyroids are thyrothymic ligament. Because this thyrothymic ligament, during this descent of this thymus, there will be a ligament between the thymus and thyroid. This thyrothymic ligament, if it is increased also, is responsible for retrosternal thyroid gland also. And superior poles, tracheoesophageal groove, retroesophageal space, and carotid sheath. The average is 35 to 40 milligrams. So it's very small gland. Okay, in adults, its color turns to yellow as the fat content increases. So it is very difficult to identify from the fat lobe. Inferior parathyroid originates from third branchial pouch, superior from the fourth branchial pouch, and superior and inferior parathyroid glands receive their blood supply from inferior thyroid artery in 80% of cases. So, and another cause of this hypoparathyroidism in post-thyroidectomy is because inferior thyroid artery will ligate. Okay, there will be devascularization. Even though if I meticulously safeguarded the superior and inferior parathyroid during surgery, if I compromise the blood supply to these parathyroid glands, means there will be transient, okay, transient post-operative hypoparathyroidism. It will recover over 6 months. Okay, if it is more than 6 months, it is persistent or recurrent hypoparathyroidism inside. And each parathyroid generally receives single end artery blood supply, so vulnerable to injury and manipulation. Made of chief and occipital cells, fibrovascular stroma, and adipose tissue. Again, function, if the parathyroid hormone is increased, it is again primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary, anywhere the primary, secondary, tertiary, the terms meaning is same. Okay, types. Primary, the main pathology is within the gland. Secondary, due to some other pathology, the gland will produce. The gland is basically normal. Secondary means secondary to that pathology, there will be hypoparathyroidism. And tertiary, again, here the tertiary will be due to chronic renal failure. The gland becomes secretion hypoparathyroidism. Then on long stimulus, prolonged duration, it will become autonomous. So initially secondary, later it is converted to tertiary autonomous. Pathological lesions leading to primary hypoparathyroidism are parathyroid adenoma, parathyroid hyperplasia, and parathyroid carcinoma. And again in physiology, one important point, the T-half. This T-half of parathyroid hormone is 5 minutes only. In the blood, in the intravascularly, the parathyroid hormone if secreted will be active for 5 minutes only. Okay, it is very important because in parathyroidectomy surgeries, so some primary hyperparathyroidism is the case. The cause is parathyroid adenoma. I have to remove this parathyroid adenoma, but preoperatively the parathyroid hormone levels are very high. Okay, during surgery I have removed the parathyroid adenoma. To confirm the parathyroidectomy is completed or not, means we'll measure the serum parathyroid hormone. Initially, before surgery, at the time of surgery anesthesia, I will withdraw the blood and I will do serum parathyroid levels. For example, of 10. And I have completed my surgery. To confirm that I have removed the parathyroidectomy, the success of this or complete removal of parathyroid adenoma is done or not, I will do another sample. I will take another sample and I will send to the lab and I will measure the parathyroid hormone level. I mean, after 10 minutes of completion of surgery, because the t half is 5 minutes. It will comes to the normal. Already previously secreted this hyperthyroid parathyroid hormone will come to the normal. It will take around 5 minutes. The t half is 5 minutes. So I will give a time period of 10 minutes, and after that I will take a sample. The second sample, if it is less than 5, means half of the initial blood values, then we have removed the such tumor, or we remove the pathology, parathyroid gland, which is causing the pathology, I mean hyperparathyroidism, and that is Miami test. Okay, various tests, other tests are there. For your level, Miami test is enough. Okay, because basing on t half of this parathyroid hormone, it is very important. Only then we can close, or we can complete, we can close the surgery. If the level is remains 10 or more than 10, means we have to search for other parathyroid tumors. Okay, from superior pole of the thyroid to the superior mediastinum, we have to remove all the tissue or suspected tumor intraoperatively until the plasma levels of this parathyroid falls below 50%. Until then, we should not close the surgery. Even it takes 10 hours, 12 hours or anything, the success of surgery depends upon the levels of parathyroid hormone. The measurement of this parathyroid hormone, why we have taken means its t half is 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. So after 10 minutes, and we wait until 10 minutes, after 10 minutes, the plasma levels falls below 50%, means the surgery is success. Until then, we have to search for this parathyroid gland anywhere in this region. Next, parathyroid adenoma is benign encapsulated neoplasm responsible for 80 to 90%. The main cause for this primary hyperparathyroidism, parathyroid adenoma, it is a benign neoplasm. And hyperplasia is nothing but proliferation of parenchymal cells, affects all parathyroid glands, responsible for 10 to 15% cases. It is sporadic, or it is associated with multiple endocrine. The term itself shows the multiple endocrine neoplasia. Various other endocrine organs are involved, type 1 and type 2A. Okay, most commonly. Hyperplasia is of benign nature. Okay, in these all the 4 glands, two superior and 2 inferior will be affected. If they are affected, we have to remove all these 4 glands. So means we are making the patient prone for hypocalcemia, hyperparathyroidism post-operatively. But hyperplasia is only benign condition; they are not malignant condition. So we have to maintain this normal condition, means we have to remove this gland, and 1/4 of the gland is implanted in the forearm, radial forearm muscles. Okay, any for brachioradialis muscle, we give an incision and we keep a pocket in the brachioradialis muscle, and we implant this parathyroid here. Or in the sternocleidomastoid, we have to mark with non-observer clip or suture material for easy identification. So here hyperplasia, the 4 glands are involved. It causes hyperparathyroidism. So we are removing this 3.5 gland. Okay, 3.5 gland and half of the gland for easy. If it undergoes hyperplasia or malignancy, for easy identification, we place it brachioradialis or sternocleidomastoid. Brachioradialis is easy. Forearm. So we implant here, and we keep a non-observable suture material or clip. So we can post-operatively for easy identification, and this we can identify if any hyperplasia, if this tissue has undergone hyperplasia or not. And parathyroid carcinoma, it is very rare. Only one case we have seen. That too, my professor has done the case. Okay. Carcinoma and adenoma. Differentiation is by invasion of blood vessels, perineal space, soft tissue, thyroid gland, and other adjacent structures and tumors. It is often difficult for pathologists to make diagnosis. Usually, we go for frozen section. Frozen section means on table. Okay, we send for biopsy for pathologist. That is frozen section biopsy, and we confirm from the pathologist it is carcinoma. Then we do radical surgery. And secondary hyperparathyroidism, the secondary due to some other causes, that cause leading to the increased production of this parathyroid hormone. These are genetic mutation, altered vitamin D metabolism resistance, and impaired calcium response to parathyroid hormone, and retention of phosphorus, and altered metabolism of parathyroid hormone. All these lead to the main effect is the stimulus for parathyroid hormone is decreased calcium. So the calcium will be normal, but due to receptors, genetic, and this retention of phosphorus and altered metabolism of parathyroid hormone, there will be increased parathyroid hormone secretion from this gland. These all 4 parathyroid glands will become hyperplasia. In renal failure also, because this unable to convert vitamin D2 to active vitamin D3, calcitriol. These usually managed by non-operative strategies. The pathophysiologic sequelae of chronic renal failure that serve as indication for parathyroidectomy. This renal failure, if we cannot prevent this renal failure, so to decrease these symptoms which caused by this hyperparathyroidism, then we go for surgery, parathyroidectomy. And tertiary occurs in subset of secondary. Initially these patients are secondary hyperparathyroidism. This cause continuous stimulus to these parathyroid glands, which become autonomous, independent of these stimulus, and they cause hypercalcemia. Sorry. Role of surgery in this tertiary means when without resolution of when they are not responding to medical treatment. When serum calcium levels is higher than 12 milligrams per TL, that persists for more than 1 year of transplantation after renal transplantation. So we are removing the secondary cause, that renal failure. We are transplanting with the renal one kidney. Even the renal failure is cured, but this hyperparathyroidism is not cured. Then we go for parathyroidectomy surgery. For those with acute hypercalcemia, is immediate post-renal transplant period. In men 1, it is multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome. This parathyroid surgery is very unique. Okay, here we only debulking or palliative procedure. This men 1, other endocrine organs involved are pituitary and pancreas. If pancreas is there, I mean in these 3 glands, parathyroid, pituitary, pancreas, and pituitary, the most common men 1 syndrome, most common involved is parathyroid. Okay, 70 to 90% of these patients are involved with this hyperparathyroidism. Next organ is the pancreatic neuroendocrine tumors. So all this you will learn later, but men 1 is multiple endocrine. Multiple endocrine means multiple endocrine organs like parathyroid, pancreas, and pituitary. All these are involved. In this parathyroid is the most common involved organ. Okay, there will be multiple hyperplasia of this parathyroid gland, multiple gland. Only hyperplasia will be there. There won't be adenomas or carcinomas. Carcinomas are very rare. Only hyperplasia. So we will go for subtotal parathyroidectomy, total thyroidectomy. If a patient came to you with suspected multiple endocrine neoplasia 1, so the patient may have hyperparathyroidism and pancreatic tumor and pituitary tumor. For example, these most common are hyperparathyroidism and pancreas. If you detected or the patient initially come to you with pancreatic neoplasm, and later on in a screening evaluation you have found that the patient is having hyperparathyroidism, you have to do surgery first for hyperparathyroidism, not for pancreatic tumor. This is one most common MCQ question also. Okay, so first you have to correct the hyperparathyroidism, then only pancreas surgery or any treatment for other endocrine neoplasms. Compared to men 1 and men 2A, the hyperparathyroidism in men 2A tends to be milder and more often asymptomatic. Here the gland involvement. Here the men 1, all 4 glands are involved. In men 2A, only single gland is involved, and curative dissection can be less aggressive. See, criteria for surgery are serum calcium concentration greater than 1 milligram per dl above upper limits of normal. These are the criteria. If the patient is having all these 4 criteria, then you have to go for surgery in hyperparathyroidism. If it is hyperparathyroidism caused by parathyroid adenoma or malignancy cancer, then you have to go for surgery. A serum calcium concentration more than 1 milligram per dl above the upper limits of normal. And detection of this hyperparathyroidism basing on hypercalcemia is very difficult. Okay, these cases are very rare, very common, but we won't identify. Okay, and bone density at lumbar spine, hip, and distal end of radius that is greater than 2 standard deviation below peak bone mass, and all individuals with primary hyperthyroidism and less than 50 years, and patients for whom medical surveillance is undesirable or impossible. Good response is seen when there is these neuromuscular symptoms of primary calcium actions or functions. Hypercalcemia causes muscle weakness, respiratory muscle capacity decrease, mental dullness, confusion and depression, and urinary calcium excretion increases. So nephrolithiasis, all these are the effects of hyperparathyroidism. See, main difficult, the success of this parathyroid surgery is localization. If you accurately localize this parathyroid adenoma gland or a hyperplastic gland, then your surgery is success. So initially for localization by ultrasound, the accuracy and examination detection of this is very less, because the differentiation between fat lobule and lymph node and parathyroid gland is very difficult. So non-invasive tests and invasive tests are there. Non-invasive tests are sestamibi SPECT, CT, and ultrasound, 4D CT, and in again ultrasound, 3D ultrasound and 4D ultrasound are there. This 4D, 3D or anything means high resolution and maximum magnification. Okay. MRI and PET CT, and invasive angiography, venous localization, ultrasound and biopsy. Invasive angiography means if malignancy is there will be tumor blush, increased vascularity. Venous localization, so we sample this internal jugular vein blood sample, we take and we measure the levels of parathyroid hub. That is venous localization. Invasive, that is intraoperative. Intraoperative ultrasound also. This ultrasound, invasive in ultrasound means intraoperative ultrasound we use, and biopsy, frozen section biopsy to confirm histopathologically whether the tissue is parathyroid or not. Sestamibi Sestamibi scan demonstrating left inferior parathyroid adenoma. Okay, physiological areas of increased pressure. This is nuclear medicine scans. Include thyroid, salivary glands, and heart and liver. So in this area, it is this is the location of the inferior parathyroid adenoma. And also mitochondrial uptake of technetium-99m sestamibi, and the parathyroid cells typically have large number of mitochondria. This is taken up by this mitochondria, so they will become. This is for minimally invasive parathyroid. Again, parathyroidectomy nowadays open, radical open, and minimally invasive we are doing. Usually, minimally invasive means if here previously, here is the location of this inferior parathyroid. Preoperatively I have located, so I have to remove this parathyroid adenoma only. So I will give an incision over this parathyroid gland and I will remove the gland. Okay, that is minimally invasive. Other approach is endoscopic procedures. Okay, by endoscopy again we keep here trocar, one trocar for camera and another port for here, and endoscopically we remove. Similarly, laparoscopy, in the abdomen it is called laparoscopy, minimally invasive. With the for thyroid and parathyroid it is endoscopic parathyroidectomy or endoscopic thyroidectomy we call. Limitations means false positives are there, so we have to confirm intraoperatively. This is the 4D CT. This is the parathyroid adenoma. This is the trachea. This is the thyroid gland. On the left thyroid gland, posterior to this left thyroid gland. Here is our parathyroid adenoma. So we can easily locate. In all modalities similar to CT, angiography is derived from three. Again, initially there will be conventional CT, CECT, 3D CT, 4D CT. These are the nothing but partition of contrast, enhancing the imaging differentiation and anatomical and functional characters are well defined in this CT scan. Sorry, this is ultrasound image. Hypoid lesion, it is non-invasive, early diagnostic modality. Okay, it is the angiogram showing blush in the right posterior position. That is adenoma. This is mainly indicated for re-exploration. So initially we have the surgeries done. Again, the parathyroid hormones are not coming to low levels. So we have to go for re-exploration or recurrence of this surgery. I mean, parathyroid hyperplasia or adenoma is there. Then we go for re-exploration. Ultrasound guided FNAC, aspiration of suspicious lesion. This is also intraoperative. We go for fluorescein section if it is. If FNAC says it is parathyroid, we remove that. See, the rapid parathyroid measurement of parathyroid aspirate is also used for intraoperative. Intraoperative parathyroid assay and radio guided parathyroid. This 5 minutes, 10 minutes after excision, we have collected the blood samples. If there is decrease in the parathyroid hormone, then we can say it is we have removed adequate removal of hypersecreting parathyroid glands. And 50% reduction in the parathyroid hormone level from baseline is used as indication that exploration has been successful. In intraoperative parathyroid hormone levels or assay means nothing but we biochemically detect the parathyroid hormone levels. If there is 50% reduction in the parathyroid level, then we call that we have removed that hypersecreting parathyroid hormone. Okay, this is based on the T half of parathyroid hormone. That is Miami criteria. Not just okay. Another one is radio guided. Similarly, how you do for a sentinel lymph node biopsy, we have the handheld gamma counter probe. So it is 10 to 20 millicurie of 99 technetium sestamine is injected IV 2 to 4 hours before surgery. This is localized in this hyperadenoma or hyperplastic gland or carcinoma. Then if by handheld quantity gamma count probe, we calculate this gamma rays and identify this gland. These are the intraoperative. These are used when we cannot identify preoperatively the hyperplastic gland or adenoma or anything. Procedures. Parathyroid surgeries are broadly classified into traditional and minimally invasive. Traditional means bilateral neck exploration. Here we keep the similarly thyroid, general anesthesia, neck hyperextended, and we give incision from the anterior border of right sternocleidomastoid to and anterior border of left sternocleidomastoid, and sublatissimal flaps are raised. Similarly, deep cervical investing fascia open in the midline, and stab muscles are retracted, and all parathyroid glands are identified, and intraoperative frozen section is done. Then closure is done. This is bilateral neck exploration. Okay, minimally invasive, where unilateral neck explosion. If we have preoperatively identified this parathyroid adenoma, hyperplasia glands, and everything, we can directly give incision over the gland, and we can remove simple excision like that. There is high in minimal invasive parathyroidectomy. There is high chance of reduction in there is decrease in the operating time and reduction in length of hospital stay and cost of hospital charges. Video assisted parathyroidectomy. This is nothing but endoscopic parathyroidectomy. Similarly, 1.5 to 2 mm incision, skin incisions created, suction irrigation and everything. Okay. Similarly, laparoscopy we do for video assisted parathyroidectomy. These are just that is video assisted parathyroidectomy and endoscopic parathyroidectomy. Remedial parathyroidectomy means often recovers symptomatic, persistent, and recurrent hyperparathyroidism. Persistent hyperparathyroidism is defined inability to achieve normalization of serum calcium level after initial surgery and represents immediate technical failure. Recurrent means even after 6 months of this, initially there will be normalization of serum calcium, then delayed hypercalcemia after 6 months. Here, angiogram, 4D CT, system scan, all these are used for re-exploration. Post-operative complications, persistent hyperparathyroidism as high as 30%, injury to the RLN nerve, hoarseness, frank airway compromise, and SLN nerve injury causes subtle voice changes, which has profound deleterious effects. Intraoperative monitoring of RLN nerve used specialized equipment. This is the parathyroid adenoma. This is the thyroid gland. Okay. Complications: wound and hematomas, wound infections, and hyperparathyroidism. This all you know. Thank you. Any doubts? Students. Hello. Excuse me. On case welfare login అయిపోయి.
Now system prepares the body for the violent action against the.
Hello. Yeah. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Thank you for responding. I thought you have logged in and went to do your routine curriculum activities. Next class, I will deal with hypoparathyroidism. Okay. In detail.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ఏమన్నా